Hi folks, welcome to the video. Today I am with Mr. Doug Kundal from Blacksite Studios. You might recognize the name, you might not recognize the name, but Blacksite are well known for MDF terrain and also have quite a few games under their belt now, with probably some of the more well-known ones being Don't Look Back and also Luna. So Doug, welcome to the chat today.
Thanks for having me, Andy. I'm glad to be here.
And I appreciate you taking the time out. We've just been discussing there before we started recording about time differences and trying to line things up. Because you're all the way over in, is it Waco in Texas that you're in?
Yes, sir. Yep. My house is about 45 minutes north of Waco.
Yeah.
So I commute to the shop every day, but the shop is about 10 minutes north of Waco. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Deep in the heart of Texas, baby.
So we're about 6 hours apart in world time kind of thing, but we're making it work. We're making it work. So I guess before we get on to the main topic of what I want to talk about today, which is a brand new game that you've got releasing soon, I guess let's have a little chat about Blacksite Studios and about yourself and about how you got involved and what you do within the business. So over to you.
I've been with Blacksite for probably, I think this is my 5th year that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
I started as a customer of theirs. I was looking for some pre-painted MDF terrain for a game that my wife and I were playing. And they were by far the best option for me in the States. At the time, they were like the only ones around doing it stateside.
Yeah.
And so I bought some product from them. But after that, they had posted on their Facebook that they wanted some writers to come in and do like blog posts for their website. So I wrote this article about setting up tables for skirmish games and how to like break away from the like tournament game mentality when setting up a table, and how to make more inspiring boards, more things that are thematic and fun and interesting and stuff like that. So I wrote this article for them and kind of got into communication with them. And about a year after that, I just saw them post on their Facebook page that they were looking to hire a laser operator, and I applied and it just worked out. For a while, I was working full-time in Amarillo, Texas, and commuting to Lubbock and staying there for 2 days to run lasers. And it eventually swapped. I was working 7 days a week. It eventually swapped to where I was full-time at Blacksite, part-time in Amarillo. And then we've just kind of gotten to the point now where I'm just working for Blacksite and have moved across the state with them and all of that stuff. So it's been an adventure, man. I'll tell you that.
It sounds like a commitment to the cause there, doing that 7 days a week. There's true passion in there. I think you're doing that.
Well, I tell you what, man. Ben and Connor are by far, there's not even a competition, by far the best bosses I've ever had. They are wonderful dudes. They have insane passion, insane vision. And I did it just because I thought it would be fun, to work in this industry and have access to laser cutters and cut my own kits and things like that. And man, I had no idea the ride it would take me on.
Oh, I mean, speaking of which, it's kind of, I guess, how I discovered Blacksite Studios wasn't even necessarily through your product. It was through your YouTube videos, and
excellent.
I think it was like a table build or something like that was recommended to me in my YouTube stuff. I watched it. Like, who's these guys? This Blacksite Studios thing. That's when I realized actually the table build was almost like not really your mainstream stuff. Like,
not at all.
A company with games and with terrain and stuff. And that was when I kind of started watching in the background, and it really comes across. Actually, I mean, I would say yourself and Ben and Connor are kind of. Can I say the stars of the YouTube videos? You guys,
I would say that. Yeah,
you guys are the ones that are in the vast majority of the videos.
Yeah,
but it really, like, there's something that comes across from the content that you create that just puts a human element to a company making things and shows that it's sort of, it's not plain sailing. It's not, nobody swimming in Scrooge McDuck piles of money kind of.
Yeah, it's not.
Sort of backstroking around in his pool of coins kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a real kind of heart and passion and hard work, and people are doing things sort of whilst trying to make it profitable.
Right.
The focus is on the kind of making fantastic products that can still pay the bills kind of thing. And I think that's what first came across to me, and then that's when I kind of started digging into the background, and also these games look pretty cool, and So yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of found you in a maybe a bit of a completely different way. But
Well, I love to hear that, man, because we've
yeah,
really we had a major expansion earlier last year, like middle of last year. We moved the shop to Waco.
yeah,
We basically tripled our shop size and hired a whole bunch of new people, bought new lasers. Like it was a big expansion for us.
yeah,
And part of what we wanted to do with that is, up until that point, it had basically been me, Ben, and Connor.
yeah,
And before that, it was Ben and Connor doing it in a garage. I was
yeah.
the first employee they ever hired.
Wow.
And with adding the new staff, it opened us up to be able to spend more time doing some of this other stuff that they wanted to do in the business.
Yeah,
And one of those things was starting the YouTube channel and trying to, connect with the fan base and connect with people who like our kits and connect with kind of the hobby side of what we do.
yeah,
It sucks because we make pre-painted kits, and so a lot of people think like, oh, I have to just get the kit and put it together. The
yeah,
YouTube Ben has really done a good job of being like, look, I literally spent like 45 minutes on this kit after I put it together, and now it's like replica quality.
yeah,
You could put it on a train display or something.
yeah,
um so it's cool that we've been able to do that. We've hired staff that takes care of all of the junk in the background for us now,
yeah.
and they're great. We have really good staff. So they handle all that stuff, and it really opens up Ben and Connor and even myself to a lesser degree to be able to do some of that stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
glad people are enjoying it. I'm glad you guys like it.
It just brings to life the fact that there's a company here that have lots of plates to spin, and not everything's plain sailing, and it's kind of a little bit of warts and all. Just like this is what really goes into running a small business, really, I guess, in the
Yeah.
grand scheme of things. And that to me, I don't know, I kind of connect with that, and I look forward to watching each episode of what's happening in the background. So anybody that hasn't checked out Blacksite Studios YouTube channel, please, please, please go over there, check it out.
Yeah, we have the like a daily blog kind of thing that we do. It's not
Mm,
daily. We've been uploading them like once a week.
yeah,
It's called Game Lab, and it's just like funny, silly, random stuff that happens at the shop through the week.
yeah,
And then we've also been doing the behind the game series for Hametsu,
yeah,
which has honestly been a ton of fun. That's been a blast. That's kind of how this all Hametsu thing came to be in the first place. We sat down and Ben was like, I want to do a series on building a game because this is kind of what we do and we're excelling at it. And people
yeah,
in the industry are like, how are you able to get a game from conception to market in 6 months and fulfill it in another 6 months? How is that
yeah,
possible? And he was like, I want to do something strictly in house with just us, no external writers, no external graphics, no external anything.
yeah,
We're going to do it all in house, and I want to document it and I want to follow the progress of it. And so we sat down and we looked at all the games that we had on the table. Hametsu was just one of those, and it was probably the closest to being like rules complete.
yeah.
So we were like, okay, let's do it. This
This is
is this is the one. This is
yeah.
what we're doing.
Well, you just talked about Hermetsu there as well, so I think it's a perfect opportunity to kind of to dive into it because
Sure.
this is the new game that Blacksite Studios are launching next week, next Tuesday. So I think this video should go up. Well, we'll start talking in future times about it goes up next week, but it'll be going up before it launches. So the game will be launching just after you've watched this video. But you are the creator and the rules writer for this game. So tell me where did the idea come from? How long have you been working on it? What's the backstory for Hametsu?
Sure. Well, I guess first off, I'll just kind of explain what Hametsu is.
Yeah,
Hametsu is a solo co-op game for 1 to 4 players that is set in a high fantasy post-apocalyptic feudal Japan. The idea is that an event has happened on the archipelago called the Cataclysm. We well, it's not been told yet what exactly happened, but it's released these waves of Oni demons onto the islands, and with them have come these like legendary mythical creatures that people had thought just to be, legends or myths.
yeah,
And the characters that you play as are called hunters. If you're playing co-op, you build a single character, right? You build a single hunter, you and 3 other people, and you each have one like character sheet. You play as hunters, and you're going out to try to track down these mythical beasts and legendary creatures and kill them before they can, wreak more havoc on the populace. Um, Hametsu is really a passion project for me. I play a lot of games, not nearly as many as you'd think working at a miniature game company. Uh, but I do like to play games, and my wife and daughter like to play games, my oldest daughter. And I find that the majority of games that exist right now don't work well for settings like that. My wife is not a competitive gamer. She doesn't want to play Warhammer. She doesn't want to, get into Kill Team and try to min max and win and all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So co-op games work really well for the two of us because she wants to play with me against something else. Yeah. Right. And my daughter is incredibly intelligent, but there are a lot of miniature games that are almost too dense for me. Right.
Yeah.
There's some that are very thick and very crunchy. So the two main things I wanted going into this is I wanted to create a fun solo co-op experience that was simple to play and very thematic. And that's kind of the core tenets that I've stuck to with writing this, is I wanted something that captured the theme and the feel and would give you those like D&D moments where you and your friends can continue to talk about these crazy things that your characters pulled off, or, so-and-so got downed or whatever. I just love that stuff.
It's interesting here when you talk about it, because it's one of the reasons I kind of got interested in Hermetsu, and one of the reasons I reached out to see if we could kind of have a chat about it was for all of the things that you've just been talking about. Me personally, I like going to events and tournaments, but more just to play against some new people, get more games in. I'm not a competitive player, but I like the social aspect of kind of going to events and tournaments. But I like games that are really simple to kind of pick up the rules, where I'm like sort of the rules sink in quite quickly and I'm playing the game as opposed to reading the book every time I'm playing a game. Mm-hmm. I like co-op games as well, because The Walking Dead from Mantic was one of the first games I really I had a bit of a break from gaming, and when I got back into it, that was the game that got me back in. And it was the fact that it was because I could play solo, I could learn to play myself. Because I could play co-op, I could teach somebody else without them feeling that there was this. Well, I know how to play it, and you don't, so it's going to be a bit one-sided. Right. All those kind of things. And it ticked so many boxes. I also, probably later than the rest of the universe, got into playing Ghost of Tsushima towards the back end of last year with one of my older sons. So the theme and I think all of the little kind of the clocks aligned. Just I kind of discovered, what's this game? So I was really excited to kind of hear your thoughts on gaming, and even what you were talking about before as well, about setting up sort of more sort of attractive tables as opposed to tournament tables. All those little things just kind of slotted into place.
And it's funny too, because I would say that there are normally, like, in my experience as a broad overview, I've run into two types of tabletop gamers.
Yeah.
There's the guys that want to min-max and crunch and break the game down to its metrics.
Yeah.
And then there are those guys that want beer and pretzel games.
Yeah.
Right? That they just want to get together with friends, have a couple beers, laugh at whatever game that they're playing, do crazy stuff, jump their guy off a tower, that kind of stuff. And so I really wanted to build this game with the intent that both of those people could play this game and have a good time.
Yeah.
The main focus of the game is character building and building these interesting hunters that have crazy abilities. It's, when I say high fantasy, I mean, like, think of high fantasy and then raise that bar a little bit. Like, these are the most fantastical things you can think of. And I really want characters to feel powerful. Yep. I want them to feel fast on the table. I want them to feel agile. I want players to feel like they can change the game in a single turn. But they're definitely not invincible. Like, you do have to kind of plan your routes. You do have to kind of work together as a team to get stuff done. The game can turn south for you very quickly if you're not like at least trying to, you know, use some tactics and use some
Yeah.
thinking and things like that. So there's plenty of room for people to create these, you know, meme characters, right? If you want to make, you know, a shinobi that like doesn't kill anything. It just blinks around the board to hit clue tokens, but it doesn't fight anything. You can
Yeah.
make that. If you want to make, you know, a ranged sumo character that uses a giant bow, you can do that. But you can also make like very finely tuned teams of 4 that have specific combos that specifically work together in certain ways to accomplish these missions as efficiently and as cleanly as possible.
Yeah.
So I wanted there to be both of those sides. If you want to min max and you want to crunch your character and you want to really try to, you know, find the perfect level of efficiency for your characters, you can do
Yeah.
that.
I think it's pretty cool as well because it's one of those things is the game doesn't need to only appeal to one audience. The problem
Right.
generally comes is when there's a mismatch of what people's expectations are when they actually meet together on the table. But the fact that you can play this in multiple ways like you just described, but also the fact that you're playing co-op and not against each other shows that actually there's space for people who maybe have different expectations to still play the same game together as well, which I think is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
for
Yeah.
sure. You know, it's funny you mentioned that because I am more of the min max player,
Yeah.
right? I come from the Splinter Cell, Dark Souls era of games, right?
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things that I like to play. I want to be as efficient and clean as possible most of the time,
Yeah.
right? Well, in playtesting, Connor is the complete opposite of that, dude. He is the guy, he's playing a geisha character, and it's hilarious because he's built the character in such a way that she's not super great at anything. And so he'll just like test and fail, test and fail, test and fail. And it's like almost light role play,
Yeah.
right? Because he's like, well, that didn't work. So I guess I'm going to go loot this treasure chest or something, you know? It's great. And with us both together on the table, it makes for hilarious interactions because my gaijin character, my sumo character is like toe to toe with the boss, right? I'm actively being pummeled by this giant spider or something. And he's just like, okay, well, I'll be right there, but I got 3 more bodies to loot and then I'll come over there, you know? And it makes for these really hilarious situations. And the core rules include like the pickup game version where you just roll off random scenarios.
Yep.
And part of that is scaling the enemies. And the way the scaling system works is just based on the total combined levels of all the hunters. So it's literally a game that you could just go to your friend's house with 4 character sheets. He could have 4 character sheets, and you just decide, all right, let's put these 4 together.
Yeah.
And then you both just play at that power level. So there's no like, oh, you can only play with certain characters that start together and they have to level together and you have to this and you have to.
Yeah.
It's not that.
It sounds awesome, and you kind of touched on the fact that there's like character building is a huge part of the game. So from a character kind of point of view, am I right in saying there's kind of like 9 different classes that you can choose from?
Correct. Yep.
Yep.
In the core book, we're going to have 9 classes. It's possible that during the Backroom event, we'll unlock a couple more. We haven't
Yep.
really nailed down what the Backroom unlocks are going to be, but I've got like 8 or something more that aren't in the core rules.
Yeah.
So they could potentially be. But yeah, the way the character classes are broken up is there's 3 schools within the book: the School of Strength, the School of Magic, and the School of Stealth. Each one of those schools offers 3 different classes. So the School of Strength has the Sumo, the Gaijin, and the Ronin, which is like a sumo wrestler character. The Gaijin is a European knight, and the Ronin is like a samurai type character. The School of Stealth has the Shinobi, the Mitagi, and the Geisha. So the Shinobi is like a ninja type character, very stealth based. The Mitagi is like a traditional ranger in D&D. They use a lot of traps and they use ranged weapons. That's what
Yeah.
they excel at. The Geisha would be considered like a buff/debuff character, depending on how you play them. And they're more like a traditional bard class.
Yeah.
And then the School of Magic has the Monk, the Onmyoji, and the Bunraku. The Monk is a almost healer. He has some heal abilities, but he's also like a melee expert.
Yeah.
So it'd be like soft heals on melee. Then I have the Onmyoji, which is like a traditional wizard, and the Bunraku, which is like a necromancer slash puppeteer type character.
Yeah.
So those are the 9 core classes that will be in the core rules.
Yeah. And you said about you can kind of roll for kind of pickup game type things, but I believe there's also like a campaign type system as well, like a narrative sort of linked games. Yeah.
Yeah. So even the pickup games can be played as linked games.
Yeah.
Right. So you just think about it like almost like a D&D character where you have your character sheet, you go and do a thing, and whatever you do, you just log it on your character sheet. And then the next time you play, you have your character sheet with all the stuff logged that you've already done.
Yeah.
So the random scenario generation that's in the book is designed for you to just get together, play against a random boss in a random setting with random enemies on the table, and do all of that. Really, where the game shines is going to be in the campaign play.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited that we're going to get to put the first narrative campaign in the core rules. So
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Yeah, and I've just wrote it down as well. The name of that is it the Wolf and the Devil. It sounds.
The Wolf and the Devil.
I'm already excited to find out more about it just from the name.
Yeah. See, I mean, we got to get evocative names in there, right? It's got to make your brain
100%.
start turning.
Yeah.
Think about what that means.
Yeah. Oh, it does. It's like I said before. It ticks a lot of boxes for me. It was exactly the reason why I thought I want to kind of find out more about this, but I also want to kind of try and bring it to a few more folks' attention as well.
Because, we appreciate that for sure.
My channel kind of is focused on like lots of different aspects of the hobby, probably more casual over competitive, but trying to showcase the fact that there's not just necessarily 1 or 2 companies out there that are kind of making games, and that there's some amazing stuff out there that maybe not everybody gets the chance to kind of to be aware of. So yeah, it was my pleasure to actually to get the chance to do this.
I've been very lucky because this is now, I think, our 7th game to bring to market. And we've learned a ton in that time. You know, we've worked with some really good writers. We've produced some, I may be biased, but some really good, really thematic, really interesting and unique games so far. And it really has honed our approach to doing this.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way when we launched Don't Look Back in 2019 that we could have done it like this. Like we couldn't have in 6 months got it to market in 6 months. Like, I guess it really wasn't even 3 months. I'd been writing it since last March, but we really decided to push it in like October. So, you know, it's there's no way we could have done it at that point. Like we had to cut our teeth. We had to get to the point where we all understood kind of the process and the things that needed to happen and the scheduling and what do we need to get done when, so that we can actually make this a reality. And so it's been, I've benefited from the work that our other writers have already put in. We'll say it that way.
Yeah. I spent 15 years working in project management before I started doing this full time. And one thing I always learned was, like, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And if it's your first project or your first couple of projects, you're going to come up against things that you just weren't expecting. So I guess for Hametsu, it's that perfect storm of we've got the experience now of bringing games to market, and we've got this fantastic game now that we're ready to kind of to fly with. Because
for sure.
One thing I've noticed as well is, and another reason that really attracted me to this game, is the presentation, the artwork, the style, the sort of creative aspect of what I've seen from sort of artwork online, sort of shots of the inside of what the rule book could look like. It's absolutely beautiful, the work that I believe it's Ben that's been doing that. Yeah,
correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Ben is for sure. He is the creative director for the product. And I think that is an understatement of what it is that he's doing.
Yeah.
His title on this is creative director, but truthfully, his input is the creative force behind the product.
Yeah.
Like, he has done all of the layout, all of the art, all of the sculpting. Anything that's not rules content is him.
Yeah.
And he's blown it out of the water, man. It's incredible.
I mean, I've not seen huge amounts of it yet, but every single thing that I've seen just looks absolutely beautiful. And you made a comment on one of your YouTube videos where you were saying you kind of remember being a kid and going to the store and flicking through a rule book and just being able to kind of, look at the pretty pictures kind of thing a little bit and absorb it that way. From what I've seen about this product, it looks like the kind of book that you would buy just to sit and have a cup of coffee and just sit and flick through and sort of appreciate it for what a beautiful book it is, as well as the fact that there's an awesome game inside there as well.
That's really my intent. Like, I know if I was to sit here and tell you, think of the miniature game that caught you by the rule book.
Yeah,
that would immediately pop into your head, and you would know exactly 100. What rule book it was that you were flipping through, and you were like, "Oh my god, look at this art! Oh, look at these minis! Oh, look at this table! This looks amazing!"
100%.
That's the kind of thing that I really remember. From being young, and I was my dad built car models, and I used to do those with him, so I was kind of already into the modeling side of stuff when I was like, 10 to 13, and dude, I have this vivid memory of walking into this place called Big Apple Comics in Amarillo, Texas. And we walk in and there's just like rows of Warhammer models. And I'm like, wow, these are so cool. I'm a kid. I like toys, right? I play with action figures. Look at these things. These are amazing. And then I just hear like this commotion in the other side of the building. And we go over there and there's these like, I mean, I say really well-built tables. Let's be honest. It was green felt with foam hills and stuff on them. But when I was a kid, man, I see these and they're just like buckets of dice that they're dumping out on the table and they're pulling models off and they're, I can't believe you hit him. I was hooked, man. I was absolutely hooked. And I didn't even know what any of it meant. That day, my dad bought me the Battle for McCrag starter set from 40K. It was the one that had the Space Marines and the Tyranids in it. I took it home. I painted them with this crappy paint that I had and I had no idea what it meant. I was like 14. I started reading through the rules. Dude, I can't read this. There's no way. It was amazing, man. But I never will forget how many times I flipped through that rule book. Just to look at the terrain and the art and these, crazy situations and all that stuff. I don't think I read the rules for like another 3 years, bro, but I flipped through that book all the time. That's part of the when I've gotten together with Ben and just had these creative conversations. He takes the lead on most of this stuff, and he's done an excellent job of capturing that awe and that wonder of something that's fantastic. I really hope that people get the rule book and they flip through it and they're just like, man, look at this art, look at these miniatures, look at all this stuff. I can't wait to play this. I can't wait to level up. I can't wait to get that ability, because that's the experience that I want gamers to have when they play the game and when they flip through the rules, because that's the core, I think, of the hobby. And I think we've moved so far from that with tournament games and crunch and like, we're not going to talk about Kickstarter, but like all of this stuff, right? It just kind of, it preys upon that, but it doesn't ever fulfill that. I feel like, at least in my gaming, it hasn't recently.
No, I would 100% agree. I think it's one of those things that we become complacent about some things. We take certain things for granted. But if it wasn't about how beautiful those books looked, we would just get Word documents. We just get a print of text, and we just have all of the rules written down, and we'd all be happy with that. But we're not. We want that kind of evocative moment of the nice cover on the book and the opening up and the smell of the ink and all the beautiful pictures, and it's part of the experience for me. I play a game like a lot less frequently than I read the books, and I kind of paint the models, and I absorb the hobby kind of thing, and it's all those different touch points, and how a rule book looks is just part of it for me. Some of that gets lost in the kind of digital rule books and things. I love holding that book in my hand.
That's a great observation that you just made. We really do spend exponentially more time with the rules in our hands
Yeah.
than we do with the rules on the table. Like,
Yeah.
that's something that had never really even occurred to me until just now. But your relationship with the rules and the rule book
Yeah.
versus your relationship with the actual playing of the game is not even.
No.
It's not square, not even close.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's
Yeah.
a good reason then to try to produce, a rule book that is enjoyable to sit with.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
part it's part of the experience for me, and it might not be for everyone, but it certainly is from my experience. If somebody gave me a kind of like sort of some A4 pieces of paper that they'd just wrote some rules on kind of thing, yeah, I can play the game, and I'm sure the game's going to be fun, but for me, I just love creating the world. I love having that, like I love having it all mapped out in front of me and seeing the art, and that's what gives me the inspiration to want to buy those models and paint those models and get those things on the table and play the game. So we're talking about kind of Blacksite have released quite a few games now, and you don't just sort of make the books themselves. There's been kind of miniatures that's linked with them as well, and you've sometimes crossed over between physical product and STLs as well for 3D printing. What's the plans for Hametsu with regards to sort of miniatures?
So, man, we've talked before about putting out fires, and like we're
Yeah.
kind of at that stage where we're putting out fires. The intent with Hametsu going into it was to resin cast minis,
Yeah.
right? And we found out a while ago that that probably wasn't going to be an option because our caster was being absorbed into another company. We would contract all our work out to him.
Yeah.
Great guy, no love loss at all. We would contract work out to him, but he's being absorbed into another company, and so now he's not going to be able to continue the contract work.
Yeah.
And that really threw a wrench in our plans. So we're like, okay, do we offer these as STL only and just let people print them?
Yeah.
Are we going to 3D print them ourselves and just send people 3D printed minis? Are we going to bring casting in house and have to dump that expense? Well, as of this past week, we have officially committed to bring casting in house. We are working with the guy that was casting our minis before. He's going to come down. He's selling us some of his equipment, and he's going to train us, teach us where you get staff, all of that stuff. And we're just going to start doing it.
Awesome.
Something we've always intended to do. It just kind of snuck up on us and hit us about 6 months earlier than we'd planned on it. It is what it is. So with that being said, it's very likely that we will just spin cast our own minis for the game. Probably what we will do, just because, side tangent, small one. This is the difference between us doing Kickstarter and us doing a backroom.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kickstarter, I don't have to do anything until I get the money.
Yeah.
Right. This isn't that way. Like, we have to start prepping this stuff now. And as you can see from the videos, we've already been doing this for 3 or 4 months. Right. So that's paid time that's already gone into the game. With us doing this, we can't commit to doing like resin cast minis unless they actually sell, right? Because we're a small business. We don't have the overhead to just eat that amount of money to produce the minis. So what we will probably do is just say, you will get minis with these pledges. Now, if we only sell 10 copies of the game, we're going to 3D print those and give them to you. Okay. If we sell 400 copies of the game, we're going to resin spin cast them and we're going to send those to you. Right. But we have to know that making molds is not cheap. And so we have to know that that's going to cover it. The short answer to that long-winded the explanation I gave is we want to offer both. And we're going to try something new, I think, with Hametsu, where we offer a digital only pledge, which will help, guys across the pond like y'all with import fees and shipping and all of that kind of stuff. You won't have to mess with that stuff because you can buy just the STLs and the digital rules and all of that stuff. So that's the first thing we're going to try, is a digital only. That being said, for people that do want the physical stuff, we are going to offer physical minis. We are going to offer that kind of stuff, whether it's 3D printed or resin cast. I don't know at this moment, but we will make that possible for sure.
Yeah, so you're going to fulfill it. It's just how whatever that production method is depends upon the size of the project, if you like, how well it sells. Yeah,
Exactly.
I think that's fair enough. Yeah,
the goal is obviously to get to Spincast Minis.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
Like that's going to be the goal. And so far, we have not done a project where that wasn't feasible.
Yeah.
With Yafsiga Fulfillment, which was the game that we just fulfilled last month.
Yeah.
With Yafsiga Fulfillment, the vast majority of the miniatures were resin Spincast.
Yeah.
There were some like extra add-ons that we only sold like 20 or 25 of.
Yeah.
And so we just 3D printed those. So we didn't have to pay to make a mold of a thing that didn't sell very well.
Of course, yeah. No, I think that makes sense, and I think people, especially with the kind of, like I said before, with the kind of videos that you make, people understand that you're not this kind of 500 person sort of huge business that's just like plowing these things out there. It creates a bit of sort of realism around the scale of things and about what's realistic, really. I think sometimes people can get a little bit sort of blinded by the GWs of this world, and everyone must be around that size kind of thing.
Well, I'll be honest. I was one of those people before I started working here.
I think we all have been at some point, until you know more.
And I think, in all fairness, it's because of the professionalism that Ben and Connor put forth in the website and in the content and all of that stuff. Like, if you didn't truly know what was going on behind the scenes, you would think that stuff was filmed and edited by a film crew.
Yeah.
Right. It's literally just me holding a camera. Right. It's not. But you look at that stuff and you look at the website and you look at the amount of product that we put out and all of this kind of stuff. And it's easy to think like, oh, they're $1 million company. They've got 40, 50 employees, all of this stuff. And that's like just not the case.
Yeah.
It's literally what, the three of us, 2 laser ops, a painter, and my wife who ships packages. Like, that's it. That's the team,
Yeah.
So
no,
I'm glad too that the videos kind of help with that, like, and let people see, when you have, like, we just did our Black Friday sale, and so we've got a pretty significant backlog of back ordered kits because we opened them all up for back order. It's like we literally are cutting things as fast as we can possibly cut them. There's only so many of us, when we tell you there's like a 4 to 6 week wait, this is why, because we've got 200 kits that are back ordered that we have to chug through. So I'm glad that it's doing that. I'm glad that it's working in that way.
I think the one thing that any company, no matter what you make or what you produce or what you sell, communication is always key. If people understand why things take 5 weeks, or why you can't have this, why you haven't got sort of 10,000 of them on the shelf just waiting to go out.
Exactly.
As long as people understand that, that's half the battle. It's the lack of information that makes people get frustrated, and I think the videos plus your transparency kind of helps alleviate a lot of that.
Yeah, for sure. I think so.
You touched briefly there as well on kind of on your how you're using your Backroom to launch this game. So in case I haven't mentioned it, it launches on Tuesday the 31st of January. Mm-hmm. And so explain for those that haven't backed anything from Blacksite before, what is Backroom and how does it work?
So the Backroom events that we launched, this will be, I think, our 4th Backroom that we've done. The intent is to give customers the same benefits that they get from a program like Kickstarter, without this weird, vague, you may or may not actually get a product.
Yeah.
Right? Because every one of us has either done it or knows somebody who's done it that's backed something that never fulfilled, and that's it. You were stuck. The difference with the Backrooms is you are not donating to fund this project. This project is funded. It is going to be made. All you're doing is buying the product. And what that allows us to do is sell, like, similar to Kickstarter. We have different tiers, right? You can go all in where you get everything. You can go, there's usually like a middle tier and then like a basic tier.
Yeah.
And as we sell copies of the game and sell add-ons and sell MDF and all of this stuff that relates to the game, that bar increases. And as we hit certain thresholds, we unlock stretch goals, we unlock new content for the rule book, we unlock whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. So you as a customer still get the same benefits of, driving sales and sharing it with your friends. And the more money we make, the more things you get and all that kind of stuff. You still get all those benefits.
Yeah.
In the same way that you would with a Kickstarter, but you are guaranteed a product. Like it's a contract between us as a business and you as a customer that you're purchasing this product. It's a pre-order, right? Yeah. But it will get fulfilled and we will send it to you.
Yeah.
The other perk is that you're going to get it in less than 6 months. Like Kickstarters routinely are 18, 24, 48 months for some of them.
Yeah, whenever.
Yeah, you may get it.
Yeah.
Good luck. Yeah. It's not to say that we'll never do a Kickstarter, because we have some things that we've thought about. Like, this is a thing that would do really well on Kickstarter, but for most of these indie game launches, we want to stay away from it as much as we can. And so far, they've been very successful. People have liked them. They've fulfilled quickly, compared to other fulfillments.
Yeah.
And it's a great opportunity for people who want to get in on the ground floor of a game to get some of those interesting minis and free add-ins and all of that kind of stuff, and then have first access to the game. We never put a game live on our website until we've fulfilled the Backroom. So once the Backroom fulfills, then it'll open up to general purchase. But for that first period of time there, nobody's going to have access to it besides those who got in on the Backroom. So
I think it's really interesting because sort of being exposed now to kind of the gaming industry a bit more than maybe the average person. You get to see kind of behind the scenes a little bit, and Kickstarter has become, it's a marketing tool these days, really. It's not really for kickstarting new projects the way it used to be. And a lot of these companies have stretch goals, but they're maybe kind of fake stretch goals. They were always going to release them. It's part of it. It's included in the price. They've kind of figured it in. Where I guess what you're really doing is you're promising, you pay us this money, you're going to get this product, but then as economies of scale, as more people get in and kind of join the fun, if you like, what that does is, because you're making more copies of it, it brings things down where it allows you to add more things to the pledge. It's a true kind of unlocking of things as the project grows. And I like that. It's kind of it's true business, if you like. It's not this kind of like fake. It's not this fake come and get it. It's not going to happen kind of thing. When really it is going to happen. We're just going to release it at the end of the project. It'll be fine.
Let me real quick. Let me interrupt you and touch on that.
Yeah.
As FOMO is like such a problem in this industry, we have specifically tried to not do that.
Yeah.
Okay. There are very few things that we have ever said, here's a limited edition such and such, you'll never see it again.
Yeah.
So if you don't get in the Backroom, don't stress, because the game will come to market.
Yep.
Everything that was unlocked during the Backroom event will come to market. You will have access to it. Even if there's free bonus minis and unlocks and stuff like that, most of the time they come to a pack that you can purchase. We hate that FOMO marketing. It's awful and it's predatory, and I can't stand it.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And it's quite refreshing to see that, especially from a company, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but like a smaller company who are really trying to kind of just to get their products out there, make some fantastic stuff, make stuff they know people will love, and but make it sustainable. It's got to be kind of profitable, and it's got to be sustainable. And
that's the balancing act, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, it's difficult to balance that stuff, especially without FOMO marketing. The problem with it is it works. We could probably make way more money if we just sold something for 24 hours every week than we do with adding products to our catalog. But man, that's scummy. I don't like that.
I'll feel it. In what I do, I would make a lot more money if I just did really clickbaity kind of drama type titles.
Dude, it's the exact
Tim.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah. But I've got some kind of sort of morals that stops me doing that kind of stuff. I'd rather just make videos about cool stuff that I enjoy. So Yeah. So I completely get where you're coming from. So I guess to kind of round that up then, so Tuesday the 31st of January, as we record this on Friday, it's starting next week, but I would imagine this video will probably go up early next week. And what I'll do is when it goes live, I'll put a link in the description of the video where people can click to go straight through to the Backroom. I'll put a link to the Blacksite Studios website as well, and people can go and see the Hametsu stuff. And I urge you to check out the YouTube channel, go and check out the site and understand what Hermetsu is about, and see some of that fantastic artwork for yourself. Hopefully we can get some stuff sent over, and I'll put some nice art into this video as well, just to kind of some visual interest rather than having to look at my face for the whole time. But Doug, is there anything else that you wanted to kind of to mention before we wrap it up?
I don't think so. I really appreciate you having me on, man. It's been a great conversation, and I really look forward to getting to talk to you the next time.
Yeah, hopefully we do this again once the Backroom's all finished, and we can have a chat about what's coming to the game and what's going to be included, and have a good old chat about it.
Yeah, so, I would love that. Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to. So thanks for your time, and thanks to everybody for watching. I'll see you in the next video.